All right, welcome back. My name is Dr. Spencer Erickson, and this is the Life Without Fear podcast. This is going to be episode 4. We are churning them out, I guess, lately. And last time we talked about the first 5 chiropractic myths out of 10 that we're going to talk about in this little series. Last video, we talked about chiropractors are not real doctors. Chiropractic is dangerous. Adjustments are painful. Once you start going, you always have to go, and chiropractic is expensive. Those are all myths that we covered in the last episode, posted up last week. Now, what we're going to talk about today is 6 through 10. Number 6 is chiropractic is not safe for kids and babies. 7, doesn't really help with pregnancy. 8, chiropractic is placebo. That's one of my personal favorites. We're going to probably delve into that one a little bit. Number 9, popping your own back is basically the same as getting an adjustment. And number 10, it's only effective for back pain. So let's talk about first, number 6, chiropractic is not safe for kids and babies. This is a huge myth in a large part of the world. It's really interesting to be a chiropractor that actually adjusts babies, because a lot of chiropractors are afraid of it. Not every chiropractor is, but a lot of chiropractors are. And I think that's unfortunate because chiropractic is so helpful for adjusting babies. I have kids come in here with colic, with constipation, can't sleep well at night. They're, developing like SPD, sensory processing disorders, anxiety, older kids as they develop. I have a lot of kids come in here that really, really need to be adjusted. Now, the basis for adjusting kids, because people are always like, why on earth would you have to adjust a baby? And really the only thing I have to say most of the time in response to that is think about the birth process. You're basically taking a baby and pushing it through a tiny opening to be born. That's in a vaginal delivery. In a C-section birth, it's kind of worse in different ways. Because what they typically do is they make the smallest incision possible in mom for very good reason, and then they open up the incision, and then they have to pull the baby out by his head. Usually there's some rocking back and forth, and then they end up just pulling the baby out by its head. And so in a normal vaginal delivery, there's a lot of compression forces as the baby's head is getting pushed. The body is pushing the head through the birth canal. And in C-section delivery, the doctor is pulling the baby out by his head, and the body, of course, is going to have a little restriction fitting through the opening as well if it's not very large. And so it's really common to have birth injuries. There was actually a study published in 2015 in the Journal of the American Osteopath Association. It's called Incidence of Somatic Dysfunction in Healthy Newborns. And what they did is they looked at 100 brand new babies between 6 and 72 hours old. And they basically checked the base of their skull, the sphenobaselar area here, and then the rest of the cervical spine, and the rest of the neck, and the upper back and lower back, and the sacrum and pelvis. And they tallied up. They did basically what I do. They go through and they checked how many injuries they found in each area. And what they found was 95 of those 100 babies had injuries at the base of their skull. So almost every single one of them. In addition to that, between C1 and C7, there were 91 of them that also had injuries there. So the vast majority of babies came through with, and this is just the neck, came through with at least 2 injuries in their neck. Also, I think it's 94% lower back again. And I'm pretty sure those figures are right. If they're not right, then they're only off by about 1%. Because I talk about that study quite a bit. But what we're dealing with is we have a situation where just in the normal birth process, there are injuries. Now, a lot of times, like those babies are going to shake it off. Like it's not a big deal necessarily. If you or I get injured, most of the time, the body's just going to heal normally from that injury. But there are instances where the body's not going to heal. It's either severe enough injury, or the body's not reacting to it well because it's really stressed out for other reasons, or who knows what other reasons there are. But for some reason, the baby's body doesn't heal from it normally, and so it can get stuck in this stress cycle. Now we're going to talk very much about adjusting babies in another podcast, but the reason that babies have to get adjusted in the first place is the same reason adults have to get adjusted, because they get injured. And so we just have to go through and we help them get better a lot faster. So let's say, for instance, a mom brings a baby into me that has colic. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check their spine. There's also another adjustment that I can do called the ileocecal valve release, which is really cool. Maybe I'll do a video of that sometime and share it with you guys. It is remarkable what can happen with an adjustment. Pardon me. When we have injuries in the spine, those injuries are sending signals up to the brain. We are injured, we're injured, we're injured. The nervous system gets really stressed out by all of that. It's just the same as an external stressor. It just happens to be an internal stressor in this particular instance. And so the nervous system gets really stressed out. And so these are babies who are trying to hold their head up all the time, right when they're very first born. They're not supposed to be doing that. They're supposed to be what we call floppy and soggy. Everything's nice and relaxed and loose. These are babies who don't sleep well because because they have constant high energy production, because it actually shifts the nervous system from a nice, calm, relaxed state into a fight or flight state. The sympathetic nervous system starts to take over. And as the baby's neurology is developing, lots of connections are being made every single minute. And if you have a really stressed out system, every single minute you're making connections, those connections are built around a stressed out environment, internal environment. So there are lots of reasons to do it. Now, one reason that people think that, it's not safe to adjust kids or babies is a lot of misinformation, and it's really unfortunate. There was a story published, and this is why I said earlier that a lot of it's outside of the U.S., but there was a story published in Australia several years ago that reported that a chiropractor broke a baby's neck doing an adjustment. Now, first of all, every chiropractor adjusts differently. The way I adjust a brand new baby's neck is not the same as the way I adjust an adult's neck, for obvious reasons. They're still made out of cartilage. They don't have fully formed bones yet. And so I can actually, and there are instances where I've done, I've gotten in and we've gotten some movement out of a neck that's really needed it before. But, 99% of the time somebody comes in and I'm just touching the sides of the neck, and that little bone is going to shift over all on its own. I barely have to put any pressure in there. It's super, super easy to adjust a baby for those obvious reasons most of the time. And so it actually came out later that the story was a complete falsehood. They had to retract the story. Of course, they didn't sensationalize the retraction of the story the way that the initial story got sensationalized in the media. And so a lot of people have read that, and they haven't read the retraction. They don't understand that it was completely made up. But they're going to go off of the initial impression. Oh my gosh, it's dangerous, because have you seen a chiropractor adjust a baby before? Well, most of the time people haven't. Or if you've seen a chiropractic adjustment, and if you apply an adult adjustment onto a baby, of course that seems really, really scary and fearful. But that's not the way it works. I can do things with my thumbs that with an adult I have to use my arms and my shoulders. And so it's much, much different to adjust a baby. I cannot think of a single infant case that I've adjusted that the baby has been injured. I can't imagine why. I always let mom be right there. And of course, I'm going to be really gentle with the baby. I'm a chiropractor to help people. I'm not a chiropractor to hurt people. And so I'm very, very gentle. And most, obviously chiropractors who do adjust babies love babies. And we want to be sure that they're adjusted properly and adjusted well and specifically. We talked about that in the last video as well. Now, if you have questions about babies and chiropractic, please ask. Post up in the comments, or feel free just to contact me. I'll put some information in the link below, or listen to the end of the video, and we'll go through phone numbers and that kind of stuff. If you have questions about adjusting babies, call and get those questions answered, because it is so helpful to have those babies adjusted. Now, the second myth, this is number 7 in the list from 1 to 10, but second one we're talking about today is doesn't help with pregnancy. I adjust on average 3 to 5 pregnant women a day. And so as we go through and I'm doing adjustments, and a woman comes in that's pregnant, obviously, unless she's a new patient, I've seen her before, and I've got some notes in my little screen that pulls up when I swipe the card, and I'm going to adjust her based on what she needs. And going through a pregnancy, man, it is so nice to be able to help women come in who a lot of times will just come in tears. Their pubic bone is killing them, or their pelvis, their hips are killing them, or their upper back from nursing or care. Everything changes during pregnancy. And the skeleton itself has to be able to adapt to those changes. If you think about it, everything in the front gets heavier and bigger. The belly gets bigger, of course. The breast tissue enlarges, and so everything starts to be carried forward. And so women start to be pulled into this hunched posture. And so if they're carrying kids around especially, or even if it's their first pregnancy, whatever the weak link is in there, whether it's in the spine or the pelvis, pregnancy is going to find it. And a lot of times, if you're having pain in there, it's because there's something happening anyway. And so we start going in and we start adjusting and getting things moving again properly, and everything just settles out so much better. I will dedicate a whole video again to pregnancy, but to say that it's not helpful for pregnancy is just blatant misinformation. It's really, really awesome to be able to help people, specifically pregnant women, in such a profound way. I've had women come in here literally crying. They have had so much pubic symphysis pain, or SPD, symphysis pubis dysfunction, that they don't know what to do. And the doctor's like, well, all we can do is wait for you to have the baby. You come in here, and a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times, we go click, click with a little adjusting tool that I have on that pubic bone, and it's gone. Like, it makes such a huge difference. That's not even talking about, things like headaches and postural strain, hip pain, and everything else that adjusts so beautifully with pregnancy. Most of the time, it's way easier to adjust a pregnant woman because they have all the relaxin hormones coursing through their veins and making everything nice and loose. So usually the adjustments go really, really easy. So I'm usually even able to be more gentle with pregnant women, but which is super, super important to be sure that you're getting adjusted by somebody who cares about being gentle and making sure that you're comfortable during the adjustment. I always tell women, after this adjustment, I expect you to sleep better at night. You're going to be carrying your kids around, and you're going to be able to rest better at night, and you're not going to be in so much pain. Getting in and out of the car, lying flat on your back. There are a lot of different things that adjustments are going to be really, really helpful for. So we'll dedicate a future video. But to say that chiropractic doesn't help with pregnancy, that's uninformed. So number 8 is that chiropractic is a placebo. Now, this is something that's really interesting to me because I like the idea of chiropractic being a placebo. Because if you really think about it, and of course this isn't, I'm not going to say it in the most scientific terms, but if you think about what a placebo is, it's basically the nervous system fixing an issue in the body just because it believes that it's going to be fixed. Placebo we typically think of with a sugar pill. You're going to take a medication or you're going to take a sugar pill for a specific symptom or condition. And what they want to find out is the actual medication more effective than just taking a sugar pill? Now, how on earth would a sugar pill be effective? Let's say that it's a pain medication. How would a sugar pill be more effective for pain than a pain medication? Well, there's a phenomenon in the body, in the nervous system specifically, that basically it's a belief system, where if you're taking a medication, let's say you believe that you're taking a medication that's going to fix your pain, your body says, oh, well, I guess our pain is going to get better. And so the body itself, not the medication or not the reaction to the sugar pill or the medication itself, physiologically, the body will actually tune down the pain based on the belief that it has that it's going to get better. Now, if we think about that in chiropractic terms, all I'm trying to do as a chiropractor is get joints moving again, decrease the signals that the body's sending to the brain that are either creating pain or some other dissonant signaling, nociception, that kind of stuff, instead of normal proprioceptive input. And I'm trying to get the nervous system to modulate so that it will take care of itself better. And so if you think about it, my whole goal is to have the nervous system take better care of the body and have the pain go away on its own. Okay, and I guess theoretically, that would be a placebo. We're trying to get the body to take better care of itself and to just make the pain go away all on its own. So I love the idea of placebo because that lends power. It gives all of the power back to the body to heal itself instead of requiring something like a medication. And so the fact that, or this idea that chiropractic is just a placebo, great, I love it. Let's ramp up that placebo effect because that's the most powerful effect. There is placebo in virtually everything, virtually every condition, in every person, and in every instance, there's going to be some sort of placebo effect. If we can tap into the most powerful and effective possible treatment method, which is placebo in the world for the human body, hey, I'm all for that. So I really like the idea of it, of placebo being, chiropractic being a great placebo effect because it's so powerful. Let me know if you have different thoughts on that. Now, We're going to move on to number 9, which is popping your own back is basically the same as getting adjusted. Well, this is something that I've had to resolve in my own mind, because it's like, well, if we're popping stuff, popping's popping, right? And really and truly it is. Now, the way that I answer that when people come into the office is we look at some x-rays. We'll take x-rays, or I can just feel it, we can feel it with our hands, right? If you have knots over a specific area, let's say in the middle of your neck or between your shoulder blades on one side, then there are reasons for those knots. Obviously, you have something going on, some sort of stress is building up in those areas, and that's why the muscles are knotted up like that. But to be able to say, okay, if I pop my own neck, then it's just the same as getting an adjustment. Now, this always comes back to specificity. A really important principle, in my opinion, of chiropractic is specificity. If an adjustment is not specific, then it's nothing. You might as well be popping your own back, or I might as well have my patients just pop their own backs at home. Get on that foam roller and just pop your back. What we're trying to do with an adjustment is a specific motion of a joint. Now, let's say that I have an injury that when I was playing soccer in high school, I was waiting for a ball to come down, real close to the goal, and some kid just rammed me from behind. Now, all these years later, knowing what I know now, I take x-rays, and I actually have degeneration in my C5 disc. It's the most common area that I see injuries in and degenerative changes is at C5. And sure enough, I have degeneration in my C5 disc. I believe it's from that incident. Now, if I'm just, messing around and I'm like, oh man, my neck's really stiff, and I'm able to just pop some stuff, do this kind of thing here, and I get some releases, what in there popped? That's really the question. What joints released that cavitation or that pop sound? Was it C5 on the right, the way that I really need to be adjusted, or was it something in there that's really loose? Now, if you think about it, we already talked about how muscles get really tight around that area. My muscles at C5, I've always had little knots here, just like a lot of people out there. I've got little knots. So the reason the knots are there is because it's protecting that joint. And that means there's muscle tension across the joint. If I have muscle tension across the joint and I just do this, that's not the joint that's going to move. It's fixed through both the muscle action as well as probably some old stuff like scar tissue building up in there as well. And so, ligaments are all shortened. Everything the physiology of that joint is somewhat different than the physiology of all the others. Now, if I get a pop in there, the cool thing is we're going to get a chemical cascade. We're going to get endorphins released, reflexive muscle relaxation in the whole area and all that stuff, which is good. But what happens typically when you're just pop your own neck or back is that, you give it 10 or 15 minutes and all the tension just starts coming right back. That's why you see people popping their own necks all day long, because they're not getting the right joint. They're getting a joint above or below it that's really super loose, and they're able to just pop it every time they turn their head right. They snap their head over to one side, and that, let's say C3 is the one that's popping. You can pop C3 all day, and it's not going to fix C5. But it will give you a little chemical endorphin release and a little bit of reflexive muscle relaxation, so things will feel better for a little while. But it's not going to fix the problem the way that we're trying to substantially and substantively change the physiology at C5. Break up the scar tissue, lengthen ligaments, retrain the muscles, get the joint capsule mobile again, and just re-coordinating everything again. That's what adjustments are doing. And so it's a much different thing than just picking up some person and just shaking them out so they pop. The specificity is everything. Or without specificity, it's not an adjustment. It's just popping joints. So anyway, again, if you have questions on that, post them up. I'd love to chat with you about that. And then lastly, this is number 10. Man, we're cruising right along here. About 19 minutes into this. Now, this says it's only effective. Chiropractic is only effective for back pain. Now, I don't know who would believe this still, but if you look up anything, look up a lot of different conditions, then obviously chiropractic is going to be very helpful for it. It's helpful for babies. It's helpful for pregnancy, hip pain. It's helpful for pubic symphysis dysfunction pain, right? That's not back pain. It's very helpful for headaches. It's helpful for neck pain, helpful for these rib issues that you have that get you and you can't take a deep breath in. It's helpful for a lot of different things. Now, really when it comes down to it, I'm always going to take it back to what are we trying to accomplish? If someone just comes in to get adjusted for their back pain, they may as well take a Tylenol. It's way cheaper than me, and it's going to make the pain go away. What we're trying to do with chiropractic is to restore motion into a joint that's injured and damaged and has been that way for usually years by the time people come to see me. If you get in a car accident, it's going to start this process of freezing everything up with scar tissue and a lot of muscle a lot of muscle spasm around the injured areas, a lot of tenderness and that kind of stuff. Coming in for an adjustment helps to release physiologically the muscles, and it will get the scar tissue broken up, and we can maintain normal motion throughout the healing process. If let's say it's an injury that's like 10, 20 years old, we come in and it's a very similar thing, except we have to restore motion instead of maintain motion. And so that is a little bit of a difference there. But basically, it comes down to this injury process. Okay, if your pain is coming from an injury in the joint, then chiropractic is doing more than just treating the back pain. It's rehabilitating or allowing the body, it is rehabilitating the joint so the body can heal properly. It can take that and run with it. And so it can make the physiological changes that it needs to make so that it stays healthy or gets healthy again. It's not just about getting rid of pain. Yes, there are absolutely great studies that say chiropractic adjustments get rid of pain. But again, so does Tylenol, so does ibuprofen. And so it's just really what you're after. If to say it's only effective for back pain, though, that's a gross understanding and gross misstatement as to what chiropractic really is about. We really can accomplish a lot with an adjustment. It's very powerful physiologically and neurophysiologically and neurochemically. There's a lot that goes on. So that actually makes me think of a couple other things that we're going to do more podcasts on. Now, this one still went kind of long, longer than my first couple. And I'm really glad to be able to sit down. Hopefully, this is good information for you. If you have questions about anything that we talked about today, please contact us. You can do that through the comments, or you can do that by calling the office. Now, my office is called Timpview Chiropractic here in Orem, and the phone number is 801-762-6940. You can contact the front desk anytime. Email is timpviewreception@gmail.com. You can contact me, drspencererickson @gmail. You can also look us up on Facebook, facebook.com/Timpview Chiropractic. And we're going to do an audio version of the podcast as well. And so I'll leave a link to that in the description below. If you have any questions, then please let me know. This is getting fun for me. I like to sit down and talk about this stuff, but getting used to the recording is the only new part for me. But anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm looking forward to create more content for you, and I hope you have a great day. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.